After a 10-year hiatus, Gwen Stefani has returned to the music scene with her third solo studio album, This Is What the Truth Feels Like. Arguably one of the go-to artists in terms of extremely talented women in music who had so much potential only to throw it all down the toilet in such a short space of time, her newest release is a rather odd and conflicting album. Although it isn't anything tremendous, and I think this album benefits greatly with expectations being so low going into the album, after the abomination that were the two previous tracks released last year and both making less than nothing of an impact, her original album plans were shelved. But after her recent divorce, a completely new album was created in the process. What is blatant about this album is that it's so polarising. You have some genuinely enjoyable tracks that strike up a genuine emotional resonance, but they are quickly offset by the mediocre tracks and some that are complete trash. I will admit here that the songwriting isn't strong by any stretch of the imagination. The song structures don't stretch beyond the atypical verse, bridge, chorus structure, and on a few occasions this structure doesn't even go that far. But what makes some of these songs somewhat enjoyable is a memorable chorus and bubbly instrumentation. Like I said, the album themes of relationships and breakups is at the forefront, and whilst they aren't exactly at the pinnacle as, let's say, an Adele breakup or relationship track, I can't say that they are terrible. Formulaic and cliched themes most definitely, but nothing outright detestable. Here Stefani goes through the motions, whether it's the songs based on the aftermath of a breakup. Examples of these are found on tracks such as the opener Misery, where she's pining for a lost love, comparing her ex to drugs, and that she longs for him to return to her and put her out of her misery. Continuing on with this theme on the preceding track You're My Favourite, where she's gone out of her way to find methods to fill the hole and replace her ex, some lyrics potentially pointing towards the use of illicit substances to do so. And the song Used to Love You, probably my favourite track on the album, where Stefani reflects on being wronged by a previous ex. The very few optimistic moments such as the track Rare, Gwen expatiating a bunch of similes to describe just how I love her as the epitome of perfection, which is rather underwritten all things considered. Send Me a Picture could also fall into this category, but its attempts at being cutesy and playful, coming from a woman of 46 years of age, it reads so childish and comes off as a teenager's idea of flirting. It's pretty cringeworthy actually, plus it reads like it's been constructed out of 10 words maximum. And the track Where Would I Be can also be categorised as optimistic. It's your atypical My Life Was Nothing Until You Came Along track with little substance, sloppy writing, and with the spoken piece near the back end of the track which brings back hollaback girl memories, not good. Plus the lyric I want a shot of your vitamin, I hope I'm not reading too much into that. Regarding the instrumentation and production, it's pretty much paint by numbers pop, whilst including elements of ska music that's a tip of the hat towards Gwen's No Doubt days. There are plenty of good moments here, the blending of organic instruments with electronic production, Misery having one of the best pieces with the bouncy electric guitar riff, low humming synth simmering in the background, hand claps, finger snaps and drum beat, and Truth with its rather light and pretty guitar strings over the electronic drum beat, and one of the better songs on the album, even if the rebound all over me lyric does come off with less than desirable imagery. Even in tracks where real instruments aren't used, these moments are still very enjoyable. The synth driven Used to Love You, which blends prolonged notes with frequent moments of buzzing synth lines along with the organ keyboard, and the gravelly synth on Red Flags along with the opening synth strings which return in the bridge and stick in the chorus, both examples of decent dance pop tracks. On to Gwen's vocal performances, and on the whole, this is where the album takes a hit. The two biggest glaring red flags are on the songs Asking For It featuring Fetty and Naughty, easily the two worst songs on the album. The first being a trap inspired track with prominent synth strings where, unsurprisingly, Fetty is less than coherent than usual, and I'll give Gwen some leeway here. Vocally she isn't terrible, but the track is ruined by Fetty here, hands down. And the second, Gwen's vocals are all over the place, there's very little in terms of control, and it even sounds like she had no idea how this song was supposed to come off. And with the messy instrumentation, plus the skin crawling emphasis on the uhs in the chorus and repeating the words oh my god for some reason at the very end in such a grating and annoying delivery, it's just one big mess with nothing to show for it. The constant that I discovered throughout this album is the desire and the need to have Gwen's vocals layered on every single song on this album. It just feels like the people behind this album were so scared to allow Gwen's vocals just to stand on their own for one solitary second. It may seem like I'm being nitpicky, but over the course of a 12-track album, it becomes very expected and the longing for something more stripped back becomes desirable. I'd also be remiss not to mention the vocals on Red Flag being obnoxious and the vocals becoming almost drowned out on the chorus of Make Me Like You. Overall, I'd say that out of all of Gwen Stefani's solo projects, this one will probably be the best simply by default. Again, the benefit of lowered expectations do play a factor in the listening and reviewing process. I honestly don't think this album is anywhere near the depths of terrible as I was expecting it to be. Sure, for the most part, it's dull, it's unexpected, exciting and isn't going to take the world by storm, and it does come off rather rushed and incomplete, but I can't honestly say it's a bad album. It's distinctly average, so take that for what it's worth. Overall, I score this album a 67 out of 100.